The Book of the Dead, Chapter 1.
The Dead. During the course of the existence, different types of energies flow through the human organism. Each type of energy has its own system of action. Each type of energy manifests itself in its own time. The motor and muscular force manifests itself 4.5 months after conception. This is related to the birth of the respiratory and pulmonary function. At 10.5 months, growth with all its marvelous metabolisms and conjunctive tissues. When the child is between 2 and 3 years old, the fontanelle of the newly born closes, and the cerebral, spinal system is completely formed. The human personality is formed during the first 7 years, and at 14 years personal energy appears, and, flowing domineeringly through the sympathetic nervous system, sex appears at 35 years in its transcendental form of creative emotion. It is upon reaching this age that we can make what is called soul. Normal man does not have a soul, or rather, he still is not a man, he doesn't even have a soul. The intellectual animal falsely named man is a machine controlled by the legion of the ego. This is pluralized. I must read a book, says the intellectual function. I am going to a football match, says the motor function. I am hungry, I shall not go anywhere, states the digestion. I prefer to find a woman, says the ego of passion, etc., etc. All these egos argue among themselves. The ego that today swears faithfulness to gnosis is replaced by another that hates gnosis. The ego that today adores a woman is later replaced by another that hates her. Only by making soul do we establish a permanent principle of consciousness within ourselves. He who has soul lives consciously after death. The soul may be created with the accumulation of the finest energies the organism produces, and the crystallization through supreme efforts to make oneself conscious in a total and definitive way. Unfortunately, the intellectual animal called man wastes these energies stupidly on cravings, anger, fears, hate, envy, passions, jealousy, etc. It is urgent that we create conscious will. It is indispensable that we subject all our thoughts and acts to the inner judgment. Only in this way can we know ourselves in depth in order to create soul. The ray of death. The ray of death reduces so-called man to a simple molecular quintessence, in the same way that a ton of flowers may be reduced to a single drop of essential perfume. Because the energy of death is so strong, it destroys the human organism totally. It is a current of such high voltage that it inevitably destroys the organism when it travels through it as a flash of lightning can tear a tree apart, so the ray of death reduces the human body to ashes. It is the only type of energy that the body cannot resist. This ray connects death with conception. The two extremes meet. When the essence is detached from the old body on the terrible impact of the ray of death, a tremendous electrical tension is produced on a keynote, the axiomatic result of which is the movement and combination of the determining genes of the future physical body. This is how the fine constituents of a fertilized egg are arranged in the corresponding order, having electrical tension and the keynote of death for a basis. What continues? Two things go to the grave. The first is the physical body, and the second is the human personality. As we have already said, the latter is formed during the first 7 years of infancy and is strengthened with experiences. Sometimes the personality wanders through the cemetery or leaves its grave when the mourners visit and bring flowers. But the personality soon disintegrates. The personality is energetic and atomic. The personality is perishable. There is no future for the personality of a dead person, it is mortal. The personality is not reincarnated. The personality is a child of its time and dies in its time. What continues is the essence, that is to say, the ghost of the dead person. Within the ghost, the reincarnate ego, the self is found. This is the legion of devils which continues. It is a mistake to divide ourselves between two egos, one a superior sort and the other inferior. The ego is a legion of devils which normally develops within us, that is all. A lot is said in occultist literature about a superior ego, about a divine ego, but in fact the so-called superior ego is not an ego. The divine being transcends egoism. That which does not have a profane name is the being, the inner. The essence is molecular. The essence, the ghost of the dead person normally lives in the molecular world. On dying we leave the cellular world and enter the molecular world. In the molecular world we use a molecular body. The Tibetan Book of the Dead says the following: O noble by birth, your present body, being a body of desire, is not a body of gross material, so now you have the power to pass through any mass of rocks, hills, boulders, earth, houses, and Mount Meru itself, without meeting any obstacle. You now have the power of miraculous actions, which is not the fruit of any samadhi, but the power which comes to you naturally. You can instantaneously be in any place you want. You have the power to get there in the time it takes a man to open and shut his hand. Do not desire the various powers of illusion, or of changing form, do not desire them. The vital body. In the human organism there is a thermo-electrical magnetic body. This is the vital body. This body is the seat of organic life. No organism could live without the vital body. Each atom of the vital body enters into each atom of the physical body to make it vibrate intensely. All chemical, physiological, and biological phenomena, all phenomena of perception, all metabolic processes, all action of calories, etc. have their basis in the vital body. In fact, this body is the superior section of the physical body, the tetradimensional body. In the last instant of life, this body escapes from the physical organism. The vital body does not enter the grave. The vital body floats near the grave and disintegrates slowly as the corpse disintegrates. Only the corpse and the personality of the dead man go to the grave. The vital body has more reality than the physical body. We know very well that the physical body changes totally every 7 years, and not a single old atom remains in the body. But the vital body does not change. Contained in this body are all the atoms of childhood, adolescence, youth, maturity, old age, and decrepitude. The physical body belongs to the world of 3 dimensions. The vital body is the body of the 4th dimension, the 5th dimension. The ghosts of the dead live in the 5th dimension. This is eternity. Length, width, and depth are the 3 dimensions of the cellular world. Time is the 4th dimension, eternity, the 5th dimension, and that which is beyond eternity and time corresponds to the 6th dimension. In fact, liberation begins in the 6th dimension, the world of the divine spirit. It is the electronic world of the 6th dimension. All those who die enter the 5th dimension. Eternity opens to devour the dead and then expels them from its bosom, to return them to the world of time and physical form. The dead are expelled from eternity because they still do not have being. Only those who have being can live in eternity. The being is the intimate, the spirit. It is necessary to work first with molecular material, to make soul, and then to refine the energy of this soul to a higher grade to make spirit. It is necessary to transmute molecular material into electronic material, and cause the fission of the atom to liberate the sacred fire that converts us into divine spirits.
Samael on Weor, The Book of the Dead.